Om Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. So we'll continue verse number 13. We started. We'll do this. Superiority is determined by one's maturity and not duty. So we saw that there was a fourfold classification based on guna and karma. And it is not based on the jata, based on the birth. So we'll do this from here. Karma yoga and a duty-based society. Karma yoga is relatively easy for a person who's born into a structure where the concept of duty is so clearly defined. When the spirit behind the structure is understood, all the person has to do is what has to be done. The person need not choose a vocation in life. He or she knows exactly what is to be done based on which family he or she is born into. One's duty is written all over one's forehead at birth, so to speak. For a person who believes in the law of karma, there is no other reason for him or her to have been born into a particular family. Some karma is the governing factor, and what is now to be done is clear. For example, a man who is born into a Brahmana family knows that he has to study, perform yajnas, and so on. And he does so happily. While performing his duties, he does not mutter, "If only I were an administrator, I would have earned a lot of money by now. Instead, I have nothing." If earning money is the main criterion, a system based on duty cannot work. Everyone will look to see which vocation produces the most money and do only that. If medicine produces money, you will become a doctor. And when a glut develops in the field of medicine, you will turn to another field where there is more opportunity, more money. If money and power are the main criteria, there will be no structure, really speaking. The money and the power will set up the structure for one's education, profession, marriage, and so on. But here in the Vedic system, moksha, liberation, is the main aim. The Veda says that you are perfect and that you have to achieve this knowledge, which is moksha. To do this, you must have a mature mind. And this kind of a mind can only be gained by living a life of karma yoga. For karma yoga, you must necessarily have a certain duty and be clear about what you are to do. When you are clear about what your duty is, then you can perform all karma, all activity as duty. So this is very clear, right? So the end goal, according to the Vedic system, Vedic vision, is moksha. And in order to achieve that, you require a mature mind, which is got through practice of karma yoga. And for practice of karma yoga, you need necessarily have some duties. So when we are clear about what our duty is, then you can perform all karma, all activity, and all duty. We can do all activity as duty. We have seen how the duties of a Brahmana are very evident to the person. Similarly, the duties of Kshatriya are very clear to him, and he performs his karma as a duty cheerfully. Just 1 second. A Vaishya also knows exactly what is to be done by him. His father is engaged in either commerce or cultivation, or he may have a cattle farm. The son chooses one of the three or involves himself in all of them. Whatever he chooses to do is done as his duty for a reasonable profit. A Vaishya also is not supposed to exploit the society in any way. For example, he must not create a scarcity by buying all available stock, storing it somewhere, and then releasing it in small amounts at large profits when the people begin clamoring for it. Such practices are definitely not in conformity with dharma, nor are they Vaishya dharma. Thus, when a Vaishya performs his duties happily, according to his own dharma, it can be yoga for him. The duties of a Shudra karma, are the same. They are not lowly but or demeaning karma. They are simply duties to be done. So, in the fabric of society, each one has those defined roles. And if we believe in the law of karma and we are born into a particular family, there is really nothing much for us to choose, but to just go according to the dharma of that family. Just do what is to be done. But then the whole value system changes when you are, your focus is different. If we follow the Vedic vision that moksha is the ultimate goal, it really does not matter what duty you're doing. What is required is to have a mature mind. So, whatever is ordained for you as your duty, you will do that with an attitude of karma yoga to gain the maturity of mind, antakarana shuddhi. But if the focus is money and power, the whole equation changes. Superiority is determined by one's maturity, not duty. No duty is superior to another. Each duty is as good, as necessary as every other duty. Therefore, one group of people is not superior or inferior to another group of people. The people themselves are nothing but Parameshwara, irrespective of which group they belong to. In every society, there are certain activities to be performed, and these activities or duties fall into four general groups. Thus, the groups that people belong to differ from each other only in terms of the duties attached to them. When a person belonging to any group performs his or her duty with an attitude of karma yoga, that person becomes guna wise, sattva, rajas, tamas. So, what is the attitude of a karma yogi? Everything he does is done with an attitude of the yajna bhava. And what is the yajna bhava? Ishwararpanamastu and Ishwararpanam. Everything is done as an offering to the divine. And whatever the result is taken as prasada. having this prasanna chitta throughout. And the person is not following his ragas and dveshas. They are not binding raga dveshas. They are non-binding raga dveshas. Then his guna wise he becomes sattva rajas tamas. A brahmana who chants the Veda for the sake of personal glory becomes rajas sattva tamas. What is it in for me? How much of money, fame I will get if I chant the Vedas? Then the equation changes. He becomes rajas sattva tamas. If he does it for money alone, with no other ambition, he becomes rajas tamas sattva. So see how he is devolving down. And if he performs a ritual in the temple with an attitude of dullness, for no other reason than to feed himself, he is tamas rajas sattva. So although he is brahmana by karma, by his duty-wise, there could be any of these four compositions guna-wise, based on his inner attitude. There is another kind of brahmana who enjoys what he does and does it well, but at the same time wants everyone to listen to him. He is always looking around to see who is coming. There are also those who, seeing someone who has a lot of money coming, will stop right in the middle of performing a puja and fawn all over the person. God has to wait, it seems. Thus, there are several varieties of brahmanas. Brahmanas, meaning brahmanas, both duty-wise and guna-wise. That is, they are guna-wise, they are sattva, rajas, tamas. Kshatriya brahmanas. And these are what? They're brahmana by duty, but they have sattva, rajas, tamas. Why? Because they're doing it for personal glory. And those who are brahmanas duty-wise and Vaishya brahmanas. Those are brahmanas duty-wise and Vaishyas guna-wise. These are the ones who are doing it only for the sake of money. They're doing all the rituals, all the prayers, chanting, whatever, but it is for the sake of money. So they are sattva, rajas, tamas, sattva. Whereas a brahmana kshatriya is rajas, sattva, tamas. Right? And then Shudra Brahmanas, those who are Brahmanas duty-wise and Shudras guna-wise. So these are the Tamas, Rajas, Sattva. It is like the Brahmin who does it with an attitude of dullness for no other reason than to feed himself. In the same way, there are Brahmana Kshatriyas. That is a Kshatriya who is doing it with an attitude of karma yoga. So guna-wise, he is a Brahmana, whereas duty-wise, he is a Kshatriya. And Kshatriyas, Vaishya Kshatriyas, Shudra Kshatriyas. And then you have Brahmana Vaishyas, Kshatriya Vaishyas, Vaishya Vaishyas, and Shudra Vaishyas. Brahmana Shudras. So these are Brahmana Shudras are all those saints that have that duty-wise were doing some menial jobs, but then guna-wise they were Brahmanas. Kshatriya Shudras, Vaishya Shudras, and Shudra Shudras. Who is superior in all of this? A Brahmana Brahmana, Brahmana Kshatriya, Brahmana Vaishya, and Brahmana Shudra are all equal. Why? Because guna-wise, they're all Brahmanas. So the Brahmana is superior. This statement must not be misunderstood. When we refer to a Brahmana as superior, we are not talking about a person who performs the duties of a Brahmana. We are talking about the quality the maturity of the person's mind. There is a lot of confusion.
Would you explain the Brahman Shudras, that combination, what they are doing? Gunas are Brahman, but works are like Shudra. It's like that.
Yeah. Duty
But
wise,
still they are superior.
they are superior because guna wise they are brahmanas, no? Attitude wise, they are
Hmm.
all they are karma yogis.
Hmm. Hmm.
So guna wise, they are sattva rajas tamas. They may be doing some menial jobs. Look
Hmm.
at
Hmm.
Kabir.
Okay, okay.
How was Kabir? Right? He was doing some,
Yeah.
he belonged to that class where they did menial jobs. But guna wise, what was he? He was a brahmana. So guna wise, all those who are brahmanas, whether they are brahmanas by duty, kshatriyas by duty, vaishyas or shudras by duty, they are all equal. Because mental attitude wise, they are all the same. So here, who is superior? Unfortunately, in our existing society, we have classified them based on their birth. The attitude is not given importance. So we say Brahmanas are superior when they are Jataka Ritya, whereas here it is through Guna. So we are talking about the quality, the maturity of the person's mind. There is a lot of confusion around this very point that has given rise to the prevalence of caste-related problems. So why modern India is reeling with this and so many interpretations and you know abuse that the caste system has undergone is because it has been wrongly interpreted. If a man performs who performs Brahmana duty says that he is superior, he is definitely demonstrating a lack of the qualities of a Brahmana and is therefore not a Brahmana. You will find many great historical saints who were not Brahmanas by birth being worshipped in temples in India. Some were Shudras and others were Harijans, meaning those who do not belong to any of the four groups. Most of these saints were duty-wise Shudras, but they have places in the temple because they were Brahmana Shudras. Therefore, guna-wise, people can be Brahmanas while belonging to any of the four duty-based divisions. So duties may change, but qualities do not. The classification of duties and people can apply anywhere, not just in India. Here, the only difference in the fourfold division is that it was reflected within the family structure itself, each family belonging to one of the four groups. Just give me 1 second, I'll be back. 1 minute. Thank you for waiting. So, this classification of duties and people can apply anywhere, not just in India. Here, the only difference in the fourfold division is that it was reflected within the family structure itself, each family belonging to one of the four groups. Probably less than 1% of the people still follow this system. But amongst those who do, the son of a Brahmana still studies and teaches the Veda, performs the prescribed rituals, prays for the society, and lives a simple life. The system is almost gone because it requires a certain protection that it no longer enjoys. No system can survive unless it is protected. Prior to the Mughal invasions, the fourfold classification structure in India was protected by the royal families. However, during the 800 years of Muslim rule, it was destroyed. Later, in the interests of survival, people concerned themselves only with doing what had to be done to look after themselves and their families. Because a man no longer bothered about what his father's karma was, the whole structure changed in terms of duty. So the whole thing turned towards just taking care of their kith and kin. It was not about continuing the family tradition. However, in terms of quality, guna vibhaga, the division of people does not change. So that remains. This is where karma yoga as an attitude becomes clearer. A karma yogi is one who does what has to be done with the proper attitude. Such a person is also a brahmana, sattva rajas tamas, with reference to the quality of his or her mind. Only this brahmana can be a sannyasi. The mandate that only a brahmana can be a sannyasi is based on quality of the mind alone and has nothing to do with which group a person is born into in terms of duty. This is also why Gurudev has kept it open for everybody to be initiated into the Upanayana. Earlier, it was done only for Brahmanas and maybe a set of Kshatriyas and Vaishyas, but then he has just let it out. Why? Because what he is seeing is the guna and not just the karma vibhaga. It's the birthright of everybody to have a Brahmana guna wise, being a Brahman. That is why, despite there was a lot of rebellion, lot of um, resistance to Gurudev's opening up the study of the Vedas, Upanayanam for everybody, including women. It's such a bold step that he has taken. It takes a lot of courage to do that, right? So, based on this, only a Brahmana guna wise is qualified to become a sannyasi. When, when he has become, he's a ripened karma yogi, not just like that. He has to have that enough, he has to have enough maturity of the mind, and only then can he take to sannyasa. Krishna is doer and non-doer. The Vedic culture then divides people into four groups. Chatvaraha varnaha, according to their duty, karma. The system itself being possible because of the three gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas, found in everyone. And Krishna, as Ishvara, could say, I created them all, but don't blame me. I am not the doer. Because of their own karma, they are born differently. To blame Ishvara is like putting your finger in the fire and when the fire burns it, asking the fire, "Did you burn my finger?" Then the fire replies, "Yes, I burnt your finger." And when you ask, "Why did you burn my finger?" the fire says, "I didn't burn your finger." Let me repeat this. This is the crux of this verse when Krishna says, "I've done it, but I've not done it." So the Vedic culture divides it into four people, right? This is based on their duty, karma. The system itself being possible because of the three gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas, found in everyone. And Krishna's Ishvara could say, "I created them all, but don't blame me. I am not the doer." Because of their own karma, they are born differently. To blame Ishvara is like putting your finger in the fire and when the fire burns it, asking the fire, "Did you burn my finger?" Then the fire replies, "Yes, I burnt your finger." And when you ask, "Why did you burn my finger?" the fire says, "I didn't burn your finger." But you continue. "You told me you were the karta. You were the one who burnt. You said you did it." Yes, I said it, the fire replies. Then you say to the fire, "But you also said you are not the karta. You said you are akarta. Why?" "That is because I didn't burn," the fire says. "But you burned," you say. "Yes, I burned," says the fire. Then again you say, "But you said you didn't burn." "Yes," agreed the fire, "because I didn't burn." What is all this? The fire says it is the karta and it also says it is akarta. Then the fire explains, "I did it because I burnt the finger. Nobody else burnt the finger. It was me. But I didn't do it because I didn't go after your finger, did I? You stuck your finger into me. You asked for it and you got it. After all, I am fire, Lord Agni. In whichever form you invoke me, in that form I will bless you. You can try again. I can boil water for you. I can warm up your room or your hands, and I can burn your fingers too. What do you want from me? Tell me, and I will give it to you. But don't blame me. From my own standpoint, I am not the karta. From the standpoint of what you receive from me, I am the karta because you get whatever your karma deserves. I am the law and I cannot transgress the law that I am. Similarly, as Ishvara, Krishna says that he had created the particular structure reflected by the four groups of people as a part of this creation. Therefore, we are to know Ishvara as the Karta, the maker or creator of this fourfold division. At the same time, he is also to be understood as a Karta because he says, "I have not done this at all. I am a non doer." How can this be? Only from the standpoint of the world and the four groups of people in it can we take Krishna to be the doer, the Karta. Whereas from his own standpoint, from Parameshwara's standpoint, in reality, he is not the Karta of anything. Therefore, he is not subject to blame. A person has a particular karma that determines whether he is a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra. Which group a jiva is born into is the jiva's own doing and has nothing whatsoever to do with Ishvara. This fourfold division is in the creation. Those who have sattva as a predominant quality become brahmanas, and those who have rajas as predominant become kshatriyas or vaishyas. It all depends on one's composition. Everyone has the capacity to change his or her composition because everyone has a free will. One's composition has nothing to do with Ishvara. He is only the giver of the results of actions, karma phala data, and is completely impartial in this regard. Ishvara is karta from the standpoint of what is created and akarta from the standpoint of his own knowledge about himself, meaning that for him there is no notion that I am the doer. That is, he has no kartritva buddhi. Krishna said earlier that this was not only true for him, but for everyone. Anyone who looks upon Ishvara as oneself, Atma, as the Akarta, is also Akarta. So I will actually repeat all this one more time and then we'll do Manana before going to the next verse. So Krishna as doer and non-doer. Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam guna karma vibhagashaha tasya kartaram api mam vidhi akartaram avyayam. So that is the 13th verse, right? So the Vedic culture divides people into 4 groups. Chatvaraha varnaha, according to their duty, karma. The system itself being possible because of the 3 gunas. So basically, go back to creation. There is Brahman, then Maya, then Sattva, Rajas, Tamo gunas, and then all the 5 elements, and then the combinations. Then you have the 3 shariras, Karana Sharira, Stula, Sukshma, Karana Shariras. And then how the evolution of the Jnanendriyas, Karmendriyas, the gross body, all of that, right? So what is embedded in creation is these 3 gunas, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. And because of this, this fourfold classification is possible. And Krishna as Ishvara could say, I created them all, but don't blame me. I am not the doer. He is not the one who decides a particular person, A will be Brahmana, B will be Kshatriya, C will be Shudra. Because of their own karma, they are born differently. So we lay the blueprint of our own karma. We our blueprint of our own janma even, right? So to blame Ishvara is like putting your finger in the fire, and when the fire burns it, asking the fire, did you burn my finger? Then the fire replies, yes, I burnt your finger. So what happened first? To blame Ishvara is like putting your finger in the fire. So who has put the finger in the fire? I. And when the fire burns it, asking the fire, did you burn my finger? Then the fire replies, yes, I burnt your finger. And when you ask, why did you burn my finger? The fire says, I didn't burn your finger. So the fire did not go after the finger. The finger was brought into the fire. But you continue. You told me you were the karta. You were the one who burnt. You said you did it. Yes, I said it. The fire replies. Then you can say to the fire, but you also said you are not the karta. You said you are akarta. Why? That is because I didn't burn, the fire says. But you burnt, you say. Yes, I burned, says the fire. Then again you say, but you said you didn't burn. Yes, agreed the fire, because I didn't burn. What is all this? The fire says it is the karta and it also says it is akarta. Then the fire explains, I did it because I burnt the finger. Nobody else burnt the finger. It was me. But I didn't do it because I didn't go after your finger, did I? You stuck your finger into me. You asked for it and you got it.
So the birth we get by our own karma, and
Mm.
whatever the means results are we are going through is because of the karma, like what um, fire says here. So we are born with our karma, whatever we are suffering or enjoying because of our karma. So it is not to blame the God or means creation.
Yeah.
So you put your finger. So like, can you explain that
Yeah.
fire
Because
thing? Karta and akarta is there. So there is only weakness.
see, the fire didn't go after the finger, right? The fire is fire.
Mm.
That is the nature. The
Right,
nature of
right.
fire is to burn. But you put your finger. When you put your finger, what is happening? You are creating. It is your own, through your own free will, you put your finger into the fire.
So we born with our own karma. Now
Correct.
the things are in our hand to
And
behave like a brahmana or shudra or
exactly,
so.
exactly. So, how your inner attitude is going to be, how you want to change your inner attitude is your purushartha, is your free will, isn't it? And
Mm.
with our free will, we are laying the blueprint of our future. See, right now, forget about future. Right now, if you take the decision, come what may, I'm going to smile. No matter what great calamity comes to you will still smile. But if you think, if you do not take this stand, you're not using the free will, some challenge comes, and then you are completely defeated, completely, miserable. So, what is the difference? You are laying your own blueprint, right?
Correct. Correct.
So, but you burnt, then you again say, what is all this? The fire says it is the karta, and it also says it is akarta. Then the fire explains, I did it because I burnt the finger. Nobody else burnt the finger. It was me. But I didn't do it because I didn't go after your finger, did I? You stuck your finger into me. You asked for it and you got it. After all, I'm fire, Lord Agni. In whichever form you invoke me, in that form I will bless you. The challenge, for example, the example I was giving, supposing some person is going through a challenge, he takes the challenge with an attitude of karma yoga. So how is his mental state? Nischala, Shuddha. He's happy within. He's not flustered. But at the same time, he is completely devoured by that challenge. He becomes totally miserable. So it's his asking, right? So you stuck your finger. So in whichever form you invoke me, so that is the crux here. In whichever form you invoke me, in that form I will bless you. You can try again. I can boil water for you. I can warm up your room or your hands. And I can burn your fingers too. What do you want from me? Tell me, and I will give it to you. But don't blame me. From my own standpoint, I am not the karta. From the standpoint of what you receive from me, I am the karta. because you get whatever your karma deserves. I am the law, and I cannot transgress the law that I am. So the law says what? You practice karma yoga and you will have antakarna shuddhi. The law says if you go after money and power, that is what you will get. But at the end, do you have any peace of mind? Because you want more and more. So that is the law. So in whatever form we invoke, whatever form we pray to, what we pray to, that is exactly what we will get. So from the standpoint of the giver, Ishvara is the doer. But from the standpoint of what we get, he is a karta. He does not decide. The Lord decides. Similarly, as Ishvara, Krishna says that he had created the particular structure reflected by the four groups of people as a part of this creation. Therefore, we are to know Ishvara as the karta, the maker or creator of this fourfold division. At the same time, he is also to be understood as akarta because he says, I have not done this at all. I am a non-doer. How can this be? Only from the standpoint of the world and the four groups of people in it can we take Krishna to be the doer, the karta. From the Vyavahara point of view, from the empirical world point of view, he is the doer, he is the creator. Whereas from his own standpoint, from Parameshwara's standpoint, in reality, he is not the karta of anything. So from the Paramarthika Satya, from that absolute reality, he is not the due, not the karta. Because from the absolute reality, what is it? There is only one. When there's only one, what is there to be done? Nothing. Therefore, he is not subject to blame. A person has a particular karma that determines whether he is a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra. Which group a jiva is born into is the jiva's own doing and has nothing whatsoever to do with Ishvara. This fourfold division is in the creation. Those who have sattva as a predominant quality become brahmanas, and those who have rajas as predominant become kshatriyas or vaishyas. It all depends on one's composition. Everyone has the capacity to change his or her composition because everyone has a free will. So this is where the free will comes in. We have the free will to change our composition. One's composition has nothing to do with Ishvara. He is only the giver of the results of action, karma phala data, and is completely impartial in this regard. And this free will is there only with human beings. Ishvara is karta from the standpoint of what is created, and akarta from the standpoint of his own knowledge about himself, meaning that for him there is no notion that I am the doer. That is, he has no kartritva buddhi. Krishna said earlier that this was not only true for him, but for everyone. Anyone who looks upon Ishvara as oneself, Atma, as the akarta, is also akarta. So this is true for all jnanis, right? So we'll stop here. Let's reflect and share our understanding. Yes, let's all share our understanding.
That fire analogy is so beautiful. That free will, how it is. You won't keep your hand there, it will burn. So, so nice.
See, again, this karma yoga attitude is such a beautiful thing. See, what we get is a gift from the divine. But what we do from what we get is our gift to him. And that is what is free will. And moment to moment, we are using this free will and creating a blueprint of our what is to happen, what the future is like. So who's responsible for that? We cannot blame Ishvara. Why have you made me like this? Why have you made, why is there so much suffering in the world? No one can blame. It is everybody's own doing. It is like you put your finger in the fire. But for all this, what do we have to believe in? The Shraddha that we have is that everybody is born with that karma. Now it's pointless at this point to say, how did the first karma start? We just have to take it for granted. Some things we just have to understand that this is how it is. So according to our own karma, our own blueprint, we create our world. So basically, each one of us is the center of our universe. We are our own creation, isn't it? If I choose to succumb to my situation, circumstances, and keep saying, oh, poor me, that is what you get. You have a miserable mind. You're caught up in your own web of self-pity. But if you stand up courageous and say, I'll shrug all this off. I'm here for a greater reason. I'm here to contribute and not just to get. So what is happening in your mind? The attitude is moving from the Vaishya attitude, where if you start from Shudra, being very dull, inert, not even wanting to do anything, no enthusiasm. From there you evolve to wanting to get. You're doing business. How much am I going to get? Rather than that, you're changing that attitude to what can I give? How can I protect? How can I do? Then you're moving on to the Kshatriya and then finally to the Brahmana attitude of Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, where it's a pure attitude of Karma Yoga. So, whatever role, responsibility you're given, you take it up cheerfully. Do it cheerfully throughout. No matter what the result, you take that also cheerfully. Then you are that is the sadhana. That is, you're exercising your free will in the best way possible. Then you are eligible after having lived a life of karma yoga enough. There is enough antakarna shuddhi, enough maturity. Then you are capable, eligible to become a sannyasi. And all the four classifications, all the four groups have equal eligibility, provided they have the sattva, rajas, tamas attitude as their guna. And then the ultimate goal and end is moksha. Once a person realizes himself, becomes a jnani, there is no difference between The jnani remains in that akarta bha, that non-doership, the witness consciousness. If he is a jivan mukta, right? So beautiful. Anybody else wants to share? Everyone has the capacity to change his or her composition because everyone has a free will. This needs to be underlined, actually. So it
Can
is
you
not like
please repeat again?
everyone has the capacity to change his or her composition because everyone has a free will. See, pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Using my free will, I have the will to not convert the pain into suffering. How I take things that come my way. That is my free will. And that requires thinking. It requires viveka. It requires all the four pillars of knowledge are required.
Yeah, pain is my prarabdha,
Yeah,
but suffering is my free will. Whether to
correct, correct. Very right. And if in this janma we are not able to fulfill and become jnanis, transform into jnanis, then we will get a better birth. In the sixth chapter, that is what Arjuna asks Krishna. What happens if a person leaves this physical body without attaining moksha? What will happen? Will he just disperse like a cloud in the sky? What will happen to him? He says, no, no. He will be born into a conducive environment. He will pick up the threads from where he left. He will have a conducive environment to carry forward the evolution.
we don't have to worry about that. We are going to get liberated this
Of
January.
yeah, we don't need to be worried. We need to just have that infinite shraddha and infinite patience.
Yeah, Gurudev says, weight is your free will, height is your destiny. So the free will is there. Correct.
All we have to do is just keep our house clean. Keep the antakarna clean. That is all. And of course, study the scriptures, follow the Guru's teachings. Yeah. So we have 2 more minutes. We'll do the next verse tomorrow. We'll start. Further, Krishna says, Namam karmani limpanti, name karma phale spruha, iti mam yobhijanati, karma bhirna sabadhyate. Actions do not affect me. There is no longing with reference to the result of action for me. The one who knows me clearly in this way is not bound by actions. Beautiful. So we'll take this up tomorrow. We'll stop here. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Jai Gurudev.